Hello everyone and welcome back to Aussie Starcraft, where we've been casting the Kaspersky Arena King of the Hill competition between a number of invited players in this online tournament. So, King of the Hill contest where contestants try and knock the previous reigning champion off the top of the hill. In the bottom centre of Polar Night we have our blue Zerg LiquidTLO, and in the top central base location we have our red Zerg Aces Bly. So we are in game 3 of this series, both our players having taken a map each, so the remainder of this series still very much up in the air. Either of these players needs to take another 2 maps to win it. So will we see one of these players step up to the plate, or will they continue to go at it tooth and nail and draw it out to a 5-game series? Your guess is as good as mine. We've had a great Kaspersky Arena so far. Seen quite a lot of Zerg vs Zerg games, and I promise guys, after this series is finished we will see some other matchups. We'll get into the PvT and see a little bit of the other races. We won't be casting any Zerg vs Zerg for a little while. Casting 8 or 10 of these straight is going to test even my love of the Zerg race. So gonna make sure we mix it up with some more Protoss and Terran shortly. Bly electing to go for his hatch first. TLO deciding to go with the slightly safer spawning pool first build, and now electing to throw down his expansion. So spawning pool will be a little ahead of that of Bly. Bly doing what he's become accustomed to do, throw down his gas first, so that when his spawning pool finishes he has 100 gas and can throw down that research quite quickly. TLO is going to be able to get his first queen much quicker, so we'll see how he decides to use that lava. Queen on the way now. And I always find it interesting to see how players hotkey their buildings hatcheries on 3 and 6. I find that's pretty interesting. If we look at Bly, he's got his hatchery on pretty much every hotkey except for a few overlords. So always interesting to see how players set themselves up. I tend to hotkey my hatcheries at the wrong end of my keyboard, I think, so should bring them a bit closer, but I tend to use my macro production at the right hand side of my keyboard, which probably is one of the reasons I'm not a Grandmaster player. But Kilo's first queen on the way, and he's got a second queen. He had a third queen queued up behind it momentarily, but likely just a misclick there, though. Wouldn't be surprised to see as many as 4 queens out of TLO on this map. They're always quite good for trying to block off and defend this ramp. It's quite easy to defend your natural because the distance between the choke and this base is so close. You can throw down things like evolution chambers and wall it in quite quickly with a couple of queens. Both our players are seeming to go for quite a passive build up here. No early Zerglings on the map. Both our players electing to scout with their overlords. Bly is trying to move out here and not quite sure what he was going for there. Maybe hoping to see an overlord hovering over the high ground, using his own overlord for vision. Tillo's overlord though still not quite in position. Choosing to move there now. We'll see if Bly elects to try and take that down. Zergling of Bly is running around here. TLO making sure it doesn't get any drone kills. I wonder if that... oh, it's probably not quite safe from the queen if the queen was to move down. Income tab fairly even for both our players. TLO going up to nearly 40 harvesters, and Bly not far behind and morphing in quite a few more. So almost like a gentleman's agreement at the start of this game, you know, 10 minutes no aggression, 10 minutes no rush even, and both our players just droning up quite heavily. So looks like we may be set for another macro game between these two, and I'm interested to see what TLO brings to the table. He's tried a different strat each game. His first game went for the Roach Hydra and didn't quite have the desired result for him. Second game going for Infestor Roach, and that managed to counter Bly's Mutalisk quite quickly and give him the upper edge. So we'll see just what these guys go for. Let's see, Bly is 3 for 3 for throwing down the Spy. He's obviously a big fan of those Mutalisks. TLO on the other hand electing to go for a Baneling Nest. So we'll see how this works out. Bly is third base on the way now. It seemed to see TLO's a little bit slower to throw down his third, but I like to think he utilises two base aggression quite heavily. These queens quite aggressively spreading creep. If we check the units tab, we do in fact have 4 queens on the field from TLO. Very common for him. Uses a second set of queens for his creep spread. So some of them will be doing his hatchery, some of them will be doing his creep spread. And I think we'll see one of those creeping queens assigned to this third base when it finishes up. So I have lots of Zerglings in the middle of the map. Though Banelings, ooh, morphine just on the ramp. They're almost out of sight, out of mind. But unfortunately, fortunately for TLO, has another pair here. Looks like he'll put those to good use. Going to be able to take this third base. His Baneling's going to prevent any Zergling reinforcements. Looks like that base will go down as Zerglings are able to pick it off and fall back. So nice pick up from TLO, able to keep his own third base and take out Bly's. Wasn't cancelled, actually completed and was taken out. So big pick up for TLO here, and he's going to sandwich these Zerglings between his two forces. So nice little pickups left and right for TLO, but Bly's got his first Mutalisk out on the map and 4 more to come, so we're going to see a cloud of 8 Mutalisks. Will TLO manage to hold this base? He is throwing down his spore crawlers quite quickly. Going to bring across these 2 queens here to try and support it. More spore crawlers going down both in the main and in the natural, so you have quite a heavy spore crawler coverage. TLO electing to use his Zerglings here to sort of stall out the Mutas a little bit. Trying to not let them get killed off, but just trying to stall the Mutas for long enough to throw down these spore crawlers. So we now have 2 at this base and hopefully protect it against this Mutalisk cloud as it moves in. So 3 queens here and 2 spore crawlers. That's gonna be able to stall this Mutalisk cloud for some time. Couple of infestors as well though. No pathogen glands as of yet. Popping with 50 to 50 energy. So still a little bit. Oh, those Baneling's able to, oh, nice detonation with that last Baneling, able to take out 3 more. But TLO is gonna absorb quite a lot of these Banelings, able to save that infestor and transfused it in the nick of time. Oh, whiffed the first fungal. Can he get a better fungal off? No, the infestors don't have enough energy, and this is where pathogen. Oh, nice fungal there, able to catch most of this cloud. Can he take this cloud down? Oh, not enough fungals, unfortunately. He's only having enough for the first 2 fungal growths, but it is going to force the Mutas back for the time being. So TLO able to stave off this Mutalisk threat, trying a big Zergling counterattack, but forced back by Bly. Both our players are trying to stabilise and get their third bases mined up, but Bly healing up these Mutalisks and going to be making another pass at TLO. Oh, a little bit of a pause there. These infestors trying to get enough energy. The infestors are a great counter to Mutalisks if you can land the fungals and if you have enough energy to chain them and kill the pack. But fortunately for Bly, TLO running out of energy in that earlier engagement, particularly as he's trying to run back and kite with the infestors. Bly doing a great job of really going after these infestors with both Zerglings and Mutalisks. So getting every sort of advantage he can. Almost picked off that spine crawl. That'd be a great pickup for Bly if he could get a Zergling or 2 in and take that out. But TLO managing a large counterattack with these Zerglings. Zerglings no upgrades as of yet. Oh, will he get the Queen as well? Wants to focus down this hatch. It is more important than the Queen, but the hatch is down. The Queen will follow very quickly. The third base of TLO now under fire as well. The Spore Crawler doing great work on these Mutalisks. If only he could pin them next to the Spore Crawler, and TLO trying to aggro them into it. See how he used the infestor there to try and draw them in, but they weren't biting. Moving his Spore Crawler forward. This is so close to dead there. 100 health left, though it will slowly regenerate health on creep. TLO continuing to be a pest with his Zergling, running into the natural expansion, but they're going to be forced back. And Bly with a much reduced Muta cloud trying to make something happen at this third base, but these Spore Crawlers and infestors just pose such a threat to these Mutalisks. Only 6 Mutalisks, not enough to really be able to muster any meaningful harass at this second base. And the reason I say that is as soon as Bligh flies in, he runs the risk of being fungal growth next to these spore crawlers, and that's what TLO's after. If he can pin them next to these spore crawlers are just going to annihilate them. 3 hits to kill a muta, plus the damage the fungal growth's doing. Bligh really being forced here to think through his engagements. TLO's going to get a third, or it might even be the 4th cancel on this base. And nope, doesn't quite get the drone. I think Micronian Zergling's away a little bit too early there, but Bligh starting to get mined out in his main base. Only, oh no, still got 300 to 400 energy left. Oh, able to snipe that hatchery. There's a nice pickup, but fungal growth on most of these mulas. Spore crawler is finished up, but just out of range. If only he could get that in range, that'd be doing so much damage. Bligh being really careful with the angle on these mutas. Really top-notch control in that last fight. Able to pick off the hatchery. A few roaches here trying to prevent Zerglings from taking out the infestors. The third base still struggling to get up from Bligh, and that was killed again by the Zergling, so it's at least 600 minerals wasted in 2 sniped hatcheries there. TLO being forced to throw down his own third yet again, so just relentless cancelling, focusing on these third hatcheries. Fairly low supply game, 124 to 94. TLO with a slight edge here, and certainly with the compositional edge. We see Bligh actually starting to go for Swarm Host, which is an interesting choice, but 1 Swarm Host and a Greater Spire. I can't help but think that Swarm Host might have been a misclick. Bligh electing to go for a double expand. I mean, if it's not working once, why not throw down 2? Get extra greedy. Hopefully, he can keep one of them in play long enough to be able to mine from it. He's suffering quite a bit from not having the 3 gas economy that TLO's had for a great portion of the game. So a bit of a Zergling run by into the third base. Now this could do quite a bit of damage here. Potentially open the way for the mutas if he was to take out these spore crawlers. But managing to quite even up the work. Well, not quite even up yet. It's 29 workers killed to 10. But or 32. So he's well in the lead for workers killed. But TLO is going to come here and shut down these Zerglings. And we see Bligh continuing to fall behind on the supply here, though. He has almost finished his 2 bases, so will he be able to successfully pull off this? Ooh, Muta's being caught by the fungal there. There's plenty of energy now. We have 11 infestors on the field and plenty of queens to make use of these fungal growths, so not relying on fungals alone to do the work, which I think is quite clever. The fungals are quite expensive. You can't produce them endlessly. Oh, we have broodlords on the way now, so 3 broodlords on the way and 5 corruptors to help keep them safe. Now these infestors are not going to be able to get close enough to these broodlords to make anything happen. TLO forced to throw down a spire of his own. He knows he's got to really has to keep Bligh on 2 bases. This broodlord tech switch is caught him by surprise. His own spire has to buy 80 seconds of time. We have these broodlords moving in, the corruptors as well from Bligh are gonna be able to hold off any units. He really can't afford to try and clean these broodlords up with infestors. It's just too cost intensive. So it's really up to Bligh here to try and do some damage and make the most of this tech switch while he's got it out. TLO's spire 30 seconds from completion. By that time he'll have enough to throw out 9 corruptors, and as you can see from Bligh, he's actually got no follow-up to this, no corruptors, so it's all or nothing, throwing down a bunch of spines to try and keep himself safe, but TLO's going to be in a great position to just mass out a bundle of corruptors, so we'll see how much damage these broodlords can do. He has in fact taken out the third base yet again, but actually going for Mutalists instead of corruptors, so obviously wants the flexibility of attacking ground. We have TLO just muscling in here with a massive ball of roaches. We have We have 30 roaches from TLO and 11 infestors. He's just going to smash in the front door. This lone swarm host still trying to do work in the middle of the map, but wow, massive group of infested Terran underneath these Broodlords and a fungal to pin them in place. So TLO might actually do it with the infestors, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. TLO able to get them in a good enough position. I think personally that's due to the lack of detection on the part of Bly. If he had an overseer there, it would have done a bit more damage. TLO now muscling up and taking the hive. Hive's going to go down in a volley or two, and I think that's going to be Bly forced to tap out of this game. So the Broodlord coming home to try and defend, but 2 Broodlords versus this amount of roaches. Greater Spire will go down, and there's really no mining that Bly can do. TLO taking advantage of the fact there's no detection, burrowing his roaches, and really surprised that Bly is still in the game, to be honest. Is being revealed now. All his buildings are dead or dying. A few extractors being the last few tickets on the map. TLO content to try and throw down his 3rd base for the updateth time. I love this swarm host, still wandering around the map. Has got 2 kills, but we have TLO knows where these last few structures are. And, going to 3rd base with his drones. You know, these drones are insatiable, but I think the writing may be on the wall for Bly in this one. I don't like to call it early, but there's the GG, and whoops, skip backwards. Sorry, guys. Writing on the wall. Nice tech switch there from Bly, going into those Broodlords. Almost did enough damage, but unfortunately for him, nothing to follow them up. TLO able to catch those. I think the biggest weakness for Bly there was really the lack of detection. Allowed TLO to clean those up much cheaper than he might have otherwise been able to. So game 3 going to TLO, and he takes a 2-1 advantage. So next game may be match point. Will Bly be able to equalise it, or will TLO blast through, take the hill and the $400? Let's find out in game number 4, following up right after the break. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you all later.